Ibrahim Traoré and Karoline Leavitt, debunking the "Sit Down, Boy" 2025 hoax. In June 2025, a sensational narrative erupted across social media platforms, particularly TikTok and YouTube, alleging that White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt had made a racially charged remark toward Burkina Faso's interim president, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, during a live television appearance. The claim, encapsulated in the phrase, "Sit Down, Boy," sparked widespread outrage, garnered millions of views, and fueled heated discussions about U.S.-Africa relations, racial dynamics, and the role of artificial intelligence in spreading disinformation. However, fact-checking efforts by reputable outlets such as Snopes and MEAWW News quickly revealed that the incident was a fabrication, an AI-generated hoax designed to inflame tensions and capitalize on the public's appetite for dramatic political confrontations. This article delves into the origins of the hoax, examines the broader context of Ibrahim Traoré's leadership and U.S. tensions, analyzes Karoline Leavitt's role in the Trump administration, and explores public reactions on X, while critically assessing the implications of AI-driven disinformation in the digital age. The hoax, origins and spread. The viral claim alleged that during a live television segment, Karoline Leavitt, in her capacity as White House press secretary, interrupted Captain Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso's young and charismatic leader, with the derogatory remark, "Sit down, boy." The narrative painted a vivid scene. Traoré, invited to discuss African independence and U.S. foreign policy in West Africa, was calmly articulating his country's perspective when Leavitt, known for her sharp rhetoric, allegedly lashed out with the offensive comment. The videos further claimed that Traoré responded with a poised and powerful comeback that left America speechless, amplifying the story's emotional impact. These claims first gained traction through a TikTok video posted on June 18, 2025, which amassed over 506,000 views. Similar videos proliferated across YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, each following a near-identical script and featuring repetitive images of Leavitt and Traoré. The videos were dramatic, complete with sensational narration, ominous background music, and visuals that appeared to depict a tense confrontation. However, a closer examination revealed glaring inconsistencies. The narrators' voices sounded unnatural, often pausing awkwardly or mispronouncing names, and no credible evidence, such as a verifiable video clip, news report, or official statement, supported the alleged exchange. Most tellingly, a YouTube version of the video included a disclaimer noting that the content was altered or synthetic, confirming its artificial nature. Fact-checking organizations, including Snopes and MEAWW News, swiftly debunked the claim. Their investigations found no record of Leavitt and Traoré ever appearing together on television, let alone engaging in such a confrontation. Searches on Google, Google News, and X for terms combining Karoline Leavitt, Ibrahim Traoré, and "Sit Down, Boy" yielded no legitimate results, only additional AI-generated videos and social media posts echoing the same false narrative. The videos were identified as products of artificial intelligence, likely created using tools capable of generating realistic visuals, scripted narration, and sequenced clips designed to mimic authentic broadcasts. This incident was not an isolated case. Snopes had previously debunked a similar AI-generated rumor claiming a judge had slapped Leavitt in court, highlighting a pattern of fabricated stories targeting the press secretary. The rapid spread of the hoax underscores the power of social media to amplify disinformation. The TikTok video's 500,000 views and its cross-platform dissemination on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn demonstrate how quickly a compelling narrative can capture public attention, particularly when it taps into existing political and racial tensions. The phrase, "Sit down, boy," is loaded with historical connotations, evoking a legacy of racial condescension in the United States, which made the claim particularly inflammatory. The hoax's creators likely exploited this sensitivity to provoke outrage and drive engagement, a tactic commonly used in disinformation campaigns to maximize virality. Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso's revolutionary leader. To understand why Ibrahim Traoré was targeted in this hoax, it's essential to examine his background and the geopolitical context surrounding his leadership. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, at 36 years old in 2025, is one of the world's youngest heads of state, having assumed power in Burkina Faso following a military coup in September 2022. A career military officer, Traoré rose to prominence as the leader of a junta that ousted President Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, citing the government's failure to address the country's escalating jihadist insurgency. Traoré's leadership has since captured global attention, earning him both admiration and scrutiny for his bold vision of African sovereignty and his rejection of Western influence, particularly from former colonial power France. Traoré's rise to power came at a time of significant unrest in Burkina Faso, a landlocked West African nation grappling with poverty, political instability, and a growing security crisis. Since 2015, jihadist groups linked to al-Qaeda and the Islamic State have wreaked havoc in the Sahel, displacing millions and killing thousands across Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Traoré, a charismatic and outspoken figure, positioned himself as a revolutionary leader committed to restoring security, promoting Pan-Africanism, and reducing foreign interference in Burkinabe affairs. His policies, including the expulsion of French troops in 2023 and the strengthening of ties with Russia, have made him a polarizing figure on the global stage. The Financial Times described Traoré as a Russia-backed junta leader, who has become an icon for his defiance of Western hegemony, while the BBC noted his ability to capture hearts and minds around the world, through his rhetoric of self-reliance and anti-imperialism. His meetings with Russian President Vladimir Putin, including one in May 2025, further signaled Burkina Faso's pivot toward Moscow, a move that has heightened tensions with Western powers, including the United States. Traoré's outspoken criticism of Western involvement in Africa, particularly U.S. and French military and economic influence, likely made him an appealing target for the hoax. The fabricated "sit down, boy" incident could be seen as an attempt to portray the U.S. as dismissive and disrespectful toward African leaders, reinforcing narratives of Western arrogance that resonate with Traoré's supporters. By casting him as the victim of a humiliating remark, the hoax amplified his image as a dignified leader standing up to a global superpower, even if the incident never occurred. Karoline Leavitt, Trump's press secretary, and the MAGA movement on the other side of the hoax is Karoline Leavitt, the White House press secretary under President Donald Trump's second administration, which began in January 2025. At 28 years old, Leavitt is one of the youngest individuals to hold this position, bringing a combative and unapologetic style to the role. A former spokesperson for Trump's 2020 campaign and a congressional candidate in New Hampshire, Leavitt has been a prominent figure in the MAGA, Make America Great Again, movement, known for her sharp rhetoric and loyalty to Trump's agenda. Her appointment as press secretary signaled the administration's intent to challenge the traditional media and embrace alternative platforms, including social media influencers and pro-Trump outlets. Leavitt's tenure has been marked by controversy, particularly her approach to media relations. In April 2025, she made headlines by hosting influencer briefings for MAGA personalities, excluding traditional press pools and prioritizing new media figures like Sean Spicer and pro-Trump TikTok creators. These briefings, which Leavitt described as a way to give all journalists, outlets, and voices a seat at the table, drew criticism for undermining established journalistic norms and promoting partisan narratives. Her interactions with reporters have also sparked backlash. In June 2025, she went viral for an aggressive response to Notice White House correspondent Jasmine Wright, calling a question about Trump's stance on protests stupid and drawing accusations of unprofessionalism and racial bias. Leavitt's confrontational style and alignment with Trump's combative approach to governance made her a plausible figure in the AI-generated hoax. The "sit down, boy" narrative capitalized on her reputation for sharp-tongued remarks, portraying her as the aggressor in a racially charged exchange. However, the lack of evidence, combined with her documented focus on domestic media engagements rather than international diplomacy, further undermines the claim that she interacted with Traoré, a foreign leader with whom she has no recorded contact. U.S.-Burkina Faso tensions. The geopolitical context. The hoax's timing is significant, as it emerged amid strained U.S.-Burkina Faso relations. Under Traoré's leadership, Burkina Faso has shifted its foreign policy away from Western alliances, particularly the United States and France, toward closer ties with Russia and other non-Western powers. In 2023, Traoré's government expelled French troops and cancelled military agreements with Paris, accusing France of failing to curb the jihadist insurgency and exploiting Burkina Faso's resources. The U.S., while maintaining a smaller military presence in the Sahel, has also faced criticism from Traoré for its role in regional security operations, which he views as neo-colonial. The U.S. has expressed concerns about Burkina Faso's growing alignment with Russia, particularly following Traoré's meetings with Putin and the deployment of Russian military advisors to Ouagadougou. In May 2025, the Kremlin hosted Traoré to discuss economic and security cooperation, a move that alarmed Washington amid broader tensions over Russia's influence in Africa. These geopolitical shifts provided fertile ground for the hoax, which could be interpreted as an attempt to inflame anti-American sentiment by depicting a U.S. official disrespecting an African leader. Moreover, the hoax tapped into broader narratives about U.S. foreign policy in Africa. Critics of U.S. involvement in the Sahel argue that American counterterrorism operations, such as those conducted through AFRICOM, U.S. Africa Command, prioritize strategic interests over local needs, often exacerbating instability. Traoré's rhetoric of African self-reliance resonates with those who view Western interventions as patronizing or exploitative, making the fabricated, sit-down, boy, incident a potent symbol of perceived Western arrogance. X reactions, public sentiment and disinformation dynamic. The hoax generated significant buzz on X, where users debated its authenticity, motives, and implications. A post by First Sveldkelt on June 24, 2025, linked to a Snopes article debunking the claim, reflecting efforts by some users to counter the misinformation. However, other posts amplified the narrative, with some praising Traoré's supposed calm reply, and others condemning Leavitt without questioning the story's veracity. The polarized reactions highlight the challenges of combating disinformation on platforms like X, where emotionally charged content can spread faster than corrections. On Reddit, a user named u/Stockholm posted in the r/Destiny subreddit on June 18, 2025, describing the hoax as an AI-driven disinformation campaign characterized by amateurish production and suspicious bot activity, such as automated comments and upvotes. The post speculated about the motives behind the campaign, with some users suggesting it could be an attempt to stir anti-American sentiment or boost Traoré's global profile. Others noted the racial undertones of the phrase, "sit down, boy," which fueled accusations of racism against Leavitt and the Trump administration. Even among those unaware of the hoax's artificial origins, the X reactions also reveal the role of echo chambers in amplifying disinformation. Pro-Traoré accounts, particularly those aligned with Pan-Africanist or anti-Western ideologies, shared the videos to highlight perceived U.S. disrespect, while MAGA-aligned users either dismissed the story as fake news or ignored it to focus on domestic issues. The lack of engagement from mainstream media on X further allowed the hoax to fester in niche communities, where it gained traction among users predisposed to believe in U.S. hostility toward African leaders. The role of AI in disinformation. The sit-down, boy hoax is a textbook example of AI-driven disinformation, a growing threat in the digital information landscape. Advances in artificial intelligence have made it easier to create convincing deepfakes, synthetic videos, and scripted narratives that mimic authentic content. The videos targeting Leavitt and Traoré likely used AI tools to generate visuals, narration, and sequencing, with telltale signs such as unnatural voice patterns, repetitive imagery, and mispronounced names. The YouTube disclaimer about altered or synthetic content further confirmed the use of such technology. This incident is part of a broader trend of AI-generated, slop, low-quality, sensational content designed to exploit algorithmic amplification on social media platforms. As Snopes noted, Leavitt has been a frequent target of such hoaxes, with previous false claims about her being slapped by a judge or whispering incriminating remarks. These stories thrive on platforms like TikTok and YouTube, where algorithms prioritize engagement over accuracy, rewarding content that elicits strong emotional reactions. The motives behind the hoax remain speculative, but several possibilities emerge. It could be a politically motivated effort to undermine the Trump administration by portraying its press secretary as racist and unprofessional. Alternatively, it might aim to bolster Traoré's image as a defiant leader standing up to Western powers, appealing to his supporters in Africa and the diaspora. Another possibility is that the hoax was created for profit, as viral content generates ad revenue and engagement metrics for creators, regardless of its truthfulness. The amateurish quality noted by Reddit users suggests it may not have been a state-sponsored campaign but rather the work of independent actors or small groups exploiting AI tools for clout or financial gain. Implications and lessons. The "sit down, boy" hoax carries significant implications for media literacy, international relations, and the fight against disinformation. First, it underscores the need for robust fact-checking and critical thinking in the face of viral content. The rapid spread of the hoax, despite its lack of evidence, highlights how easily false narratives can gain traction when they align with existing biases or tap into emotional triggers like racism or anti-imperialism. Second, the incident reflects the challenges of navigating US-Africa relations in an era of geopolitical realignment. Traoré's pivot toward Russia and his rejection of Western influence have strained ties with the US, creating a fertile ground for narratives that portray America as dismissive or hostile. While the hoax was fabricated, it amplifies real tensions that policymakers must address through diplomacy and mutual respect. Third, the hoax highlights the dangers of AI-driven disinformation, which can manipulate public perception and exacerbate divisions. As AI tools become more accessible, governments, tech companies, and civil society must collaborate to develop countermeasures, such as improved detection algorithms, transparent content labeling, and public education campaigns on media literacy. Finally, the incident serves as a reminder of the power dynamics inherent in global media narratives. The phrase, "sit down, boy," carries a heavy historical weight, evoking centuries of racial oppression and colonial condescension. Its use in the hoax was no accident, as it was designed to provoke outrage and polarize audiences. This underscores the need for responsible communication from public figures like Leavitt, whose real-life confrontational style may inadvertently lend credibility to such fabrications. Conclusion. The "sit down, boy" hoax involving Karoline Leavitt and Ibrahim Traoré is a stark reminder of the challenges posed by AI-driven disinformation in the digital age. By fabricating a racially charged confrontation, the hoax exploited existing tensions between the US and Burkina Faso, capitalized on Leavitt's controversial public persona, and amplified Traoré's image as a defiant African leader. Fact-checking efforts by Snopes and MEAWW News, combined with critical discussions on X and Reddit, exposed the narrative as a falsehood, but not before it reached millions of viewers. This incident highlights the urgent need for media literacy, responsible journalism, and technological safeguards to combat disinformation. It also underscores the complexities of US-Africa relations, where mutual respect and understanding are essential to counter narratives of arrogance or hostility. As AI continues to reshape the information landscape, individuals and institutions must remain vigilant, questioning sensational claims and seeking out verified sources to navigate the truth in an increasingly manipulated world.